Hey parents, we're here at the Grace Bridge headquarters in North Texas. Going to learn a little bit more about this incredible organization and all that they do. We're going to find out a little bit more about the heart and the ministry behind Grace Bridge, and not only what they're doing to serve our local community, but what they're doing to serve around the world. Welcome to Grace Bridge.
Parents, welcome to The Journey, a podcast to help you be the very best parent you can be. We are thrilled you are here and that we get to do life together. We are here to serve your family, and we're thankful you're joining us on The Journey.
All right, Drew, welcome.
Good to see you, sir.
All right, this is Drew Herndon. Drew, what's your position here?
Distribution and Services Manager.
Fantastic, and we are in the warehouse facility that you guys have out here in North Texas for Grace Bridge. Tell us a little bit about what we're looking at.
So our food facility has been open for a little over 3 years.
Okay.
In this building, we get the opportunity to serve well over 850 families a month. That's the Grace Bridge side, all of our partners included. We serve 800 families.
Now, when you guys started a few years ago, right, you were in a small little facility in Salina.
Yeah, downtown.
This is tons bigger.
Downtown Salina is where it all started, in a green service station building. And Carter grew up being a painter by trade with his dad and transformed that building.
So he has some useful skills.
Oh yeah,
okay. I didn't know that.
He's been able to do that, did that through college, and that's how one of the stories of our friendship. But
that's awesome.
Painted it, transformed it, and used it from 14 years ago till just last April. And then we moved into this. It was about an eighth of the size of the building we're in today.
Okay.
And so what happens out of this building is we have a team of 5 or 6 guys that operate out here. Our food facility manager operates and runs this specific building.
Okay.
And we build all the boxes that you see, whether it is our food boxes that has 56 200-calorie meals in it, meant to supplement a family of 4 for 2 weeks on food. Our miscellaneous boxes, which are exactly what it sounds like. It's miscellaneous items that are edible for families to use. And then we have personal care boxes, that toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, body wash, shampoo, those kinds of items that families get.
All right, so when a family comes in here, they're going to walk through and get some different things? Or
this is just volunteers.
Okay, so this is where they put the boxes together.
Yeah, so we are staff-led, but volunteer-driven is the way that we say it. And so without our volunteers, we could not do 850 families a month. We could not serve. So we have groups on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays that come in and help put all this together, or not just make the box, but they take that box off of our truck and put it into the trunk of a car on a Saturday.
That's awesome.
And this is a place where it doesn't matter if you are 4 years old or seasoned in life, you're able to come and help serve by putting together boxes of food.
That is so cool.
And so we have a lot of opportunities around here to be able to do that. And so we see about 25 of those pallets of food go out every month to one of our 11 distributions that one of our partners runs or Grace Bridge ourselves runs.
Okay, and then these items are mostly donated or mostly bought through donations that you get?
Just to keep the consistency of what we do in a box, we purchase about 95% of the items. Now we have food drives, like we just had 2 schools. One school did 1,500 boxes of cereal that were donated to us. Another one did 400 boxes of cereal. So those items are when we go, hey, that's that 5%. But we try to keep our formula consistent. It's got peanut butter, it's got spaghetti, it's got ramen noodle, it's got cereal, it's got protein. We just try to keep it really consistent for our families.
All right, well, let's find out a little bit more what Grace Bridge does here in the area and around the world. We've got Drew Herndon. We've already talked to you. Thanks for showing us around the warehouse. That was fantastic. But then Carter Morris.
That's right.
All right, thanks for coming on and telling our parents a little bit more about this particular ministry. Let's just start with, where did this ministry start? Where did it originate? How long has it been around?
Yeah, so I was on staff at Prestonwood for 11 years. And so,
right out of high school, if I remember correctly.
Right out of high school, that's right. Yes, the more I think about it, I was super young at the time.
Yes.
But so Charles and Carol Loper and we were all together in serving at the North Campus, and we had been helping with another little group of men in Salina that were doing food baskets at Thanksgiving and Christmas. And the idea was born about, well, what happens, to these families the other 10 months out of the year?
Yeah.
And so God, in His divine sense of humor, thought, why don't we just start a food pantry and do that? And so in 2011, March and April of 2011, we started serving families the first and third Saturday of every month in downtown Salina. And Charles started traveling to Uganda, which is Master Cares now. And so the rest has really just been God's amazing story. But that's what we did. We just started serving families the first and third Saturday of every month out of this little work that we had already been doing in Salina that was only taking place at the holidays. And now, last year in 2024, we served 10,500 families.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
I mean, that really
crazy.
is amazing.
Yeah.
So many different ways for parents to get involved. Drew, you're a parent, right? You've got, so many different kids that are coming up here, school groups and things like that. Tell the parents a little bit more about how they can get involved, volunteer, and help support what you guys do.
One of the things I love about what we do with Grace Bridge is it's designed intentionally for a family to be involved.
Yeah, I love
it
that.
Doesn't matter if you're 4 years old or a seasoned adult. We've got opportunities for you.
Yeah.
We have different groups that come, and it may be a group of moms who say, hey, we want to teach our children what it means to serve our community.
Yep.
And they just email volunteer@gracebridge.org or .us, and they ask, hey, how can we bring our group? And we put together a volunteer opportunity for them. They're 2-hour slots, so we don't ask for a lot of time, but you can do a lot in 2 hours. A group of families can pack 2 to 3 pallets of food. Each pallet's 48 boxes of food that can feed those families over 2 weeks, and that's easy to put together. You can do that as a family. You can do that as a class or a grade. You can do that as a friend group. My son, over the course of the last summer, invited his friends to come up because teenagers are bored. They don't know what to do sometimes when they don't have structure.
You'll give them something to do.
Oh, yeah.
There's no
They
lack
would
of
come up
projects.
and they came up and just volunteered.
That's so
and
awesome.
so it's great for families. It's great for grades. It's great for community groups.
Yeah.
However you have a community at PCA, we can find a way for you to be able to serve immediately impacting our local community.
Now, you did mention that a lot of the food that you're buying, so obviously you need financial donations as well, not just people packing it, right? But you've got to get that, those resources. So you're going to take people dropping off things, but you said you wanted to keep a lot of those things uniform. So, right, this is a donation-driven ministry as well.
Yes. So while 5% of the food that goes into our box of food is donated, then 95% we keep and we make sure that it's uniform.
Yeah.
So a family knows what they're going to get. They know they're going to get that jar of peanut butter and it's going to be consistent every time. They know that they're going to either get chicken or tuna in a can. It's going to be consistent. It's not wondering what it's going to be each month or each 2 weeks. And so the financial gifts that we are given allow us to be able to make sure that they're uniform. We also have a couple of drives where kids have said, hey, I just want to find a way. So my class, we're going to do a food drive. Well, we provide you with a list as any class or teacher or student organization or whatever comes to us and says, hey, I want to do that. What can we do? We just had 2 schools that one school did 1,500 boxes of cereal.
Wow.
The full size, not the kiddie ones, the full size, and another one did 400. So if a family or a group or an organization or a class at PCA says, hey, we want to do something like that, we can tell you, hey, I can tell you right now, we need soup, canned soup, and we need canned beans. And so any class or organization says, hey, we want to do a food drive, they just contact, again, volunteer@gracebridge.us, and we can give them a specific item that is needed for that month or that quarter, whatever it is that we need. And they can get involved by doing donations of food items.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that was really the heart when we started everything. Everything was built around building that relationship with the family, because it was my family. I mean, Lily and Kendall were just really coming into the world, and I didn't want to do this without them when we first started. And so it was very important, long before Wyatt came along, but yet our family has always served together, because it was about building a relationship through these basic necessities of life. And so to Drew's point about what we collect and how we do it and purchasing the food and keeping it consistent is, yes, we wanted people to bank on the food bank, but we really wanted them to know, because we were representing Christ, that the quality of what they were receiving in that food box, it was thought out. It was like what you and I would put on our tables, not just leftovers that came out of pantry or that was left over at a bad sale at a grocery store, but it was really stuff that you would put on your table for your family to gather around and to have a time of fellowship or share a meal together, right? And so it was very intentionally designed in that way, from both serving to those we serve, and then thereafter how we can build that relationship around those conversations.
Yeah, that is so good. Now let's talk a little bit about just Master Cares,
right?
And just the connection, right, with PCA's Minimester program, about taking students to see an incredible Christian school in Uganda that you guys have helped create, start, build, facilitate, and just the connection of PCA in that as well. So tell us about that.
So the dream was always, as Charles started traveling over there, every month for 26 months in a row, it was our dream to have groups go over. And again, that much time in country, you learn by trial and error. And then we realized, listen, there really is a way to facilitate people. And so the idea was born along with doing our farming and our medical care and water wells, was to establish a school. And of course, we went to the leadership of Prestonwood Christian Academy and said, hey, we want to model our school in Uganda after the school that's here in the States. And just a few months ago, we got our ACSI accreditation.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we are accredited by the same organization that our school here in the U.S. is, because we know that at our school, we are training the champions for Christ that are going to change Uganda in the days ahead.
Amen.
And then to be able to take students from here and to take families from here to go over and be a part of that, it's just absolutely amazing, because we have incredible leadership that are on the ground every day in Uganda, leading the charge, overseeing every aspect of the organization. But when we come over, we really encourage them, and we just kind of pour fuel on the fire for those 10 days that we're there with them.
Sure.
But the work's happening all the time, and now they've got a prayer partner. They've got someone who may be sponsoring one of our students over there that's at the school, and there's this connection that only the Lord could create, that just continues to encourage them to fight the good fight every day.
Now, for the Minimester trips, we're talking about high school age students, but what if families, because you guys do a lot of the family connection here, what if families wanted to go over and see what you guys do in Uganda?
Yeah, and that's one of the blessings of having Drew come on our team in the last 3 years, is he's really been able to increase that exposure for families to go and students to go. So Drew, what about a family going with
and
us?
just as Carter was talking about Lily and Kendall being involved in the food bank so early on, my kids have gone and done international mission trips with me in student ministry while I was in student ministry. And so my heart was, how can we get kids involved? And we've taken as young as 9-year-olds that have gone with a parent, and their parent wanted to expose them and let them see the rest of the world and see what goes on. And so as long as we have a parent that's willing to go with that student, we'll take them if the parent feels like they are emotionally and spiritually able to go, then we want to welcome them, because there's nothing greater than seeing a 9-year-old sit down with another 9-year-old and talk about two different cultures, but talk about the same Jesus.
Yeah.
And they encourage one another, and they share, and they become pen pals, and they can do that by encouraging one another halfway around the world. And so that's what I love, is that whether it's Master Cares or Grace Bridge, we want families to be involved.
Yep.
Because the more I can disciple my kids and you disciple your kids, it's going to make an impact into the future of the kingdom of God, of what will happen. And I love the way that PCA is involved. PCA is not just involved by sending a bunch of high school students. A lot of parents may not know that the homecoming lays that are given for H2O Co., they go and help Master Cares dig 2 wells this year for families. And that equates to 2,000 people being able to get water, fresh water. and 2 villages to be able to provide. And that's just the Plano campus. The North Campus did one well this year as well. And so we're able to look back and take a step back and go, God, look what you've done. You provided fresh water. The woman at the well is a very lively story there.
It really is.
And it's able to be used. So high school is able to get involved. Lower school is able to get involved because they've been collecting school items.
They're donating items left and right.
Yeah.
Things that we take for granted.
Yes.
Chalk, pencils, pens, the little stickers that the kids get on their papers when at PCA.
Yeah.
Those are the same things we give the teachers there to be able to encourage them. And so it doesn't matter if you're a lower school or upper school. There's a way to get involved. And you may not be even going on the trip, but you can encourage those and support those. Or you may be one that's going on the trip.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned one of our PCA teachers, Rue Johnson, had gone over there a couple of years ago and really kind of helped transform that school and then the way that they're teaching things by bringing in textbooks. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so through Gracebridge, this is one of the ways that Gracebridge and MasterCares really get to work together across the big pond, is we had a local school district want to donate all of their old textbooks that were just going to be sent to a shredder. And so we took those, loaded them on a shipping container, got them over there, and then again, teachers from PCA and other schools went over and now have taught our teachers how to utilize those textbooks in that context, which again gives our students another really step up in their education from most of the schools in underdeveloped countries like Uganda, but definitely in the country of Uganda, our school is in the top 1% of all the schools in the country.
That's so awesome.
And then with Miss Johnson, with Rue, I mean, her and Lon go every year.
Yep.
They help facilitate a medical trip. But of course, she's maintained those relationships. And again, that's part of the consistency. And the more you get to know about Gracebridge, the more you get to know about MasterCares, our intentionality around the things we do are really just facilitators or a conduit to be able to build a relationship, because that relationship is now the conduit for the gospel and then ultimately for discipleship, which we know that the Word of God will never return void. And so whether you go on a short-term trip or you're helping in the classroom because you can't go quite yet, then you're all about creating that moment to either start a relationship or to continue to facilitate one.
Yeah, I love that there's just so many things going on all year round, right? This isn't just a Christmas type thing, or it's not just a Minimester type thing, but the things that you guys are doing, you're doing right 365 days a year here and in Uganda, and it's just, and I love the family intentionality. That's such a key piece. I don't want to do this as a parent and not have my kids go, because it's my kids that really need to see this modeled. They need to see it lived out. When we talk about servant leadership, right? Well, what does that look like? You get to come here and you get to see this is what it means to serve people, right? And so that's a great opportunity, and I do love that you allow as a parent for us to bring our children. Right?
Yeah.
Be responsible. They're your children, so they're not running around here.
That is true. Now, our kids, we can't talk about Wyatt yet, but he does find some creative things to do. But I mean, they love to serve, right? And they really
got
do
the
love
heart.
to give.
That's the thing.
Yes.
What I tell parents all the time is, you may drag your kid to go serve, but in the long term, you'll see that payoff. They'll want to serve more. They may. Teenagers, they've got that chemical imbalance where they get really moody and they don't want to do it. But as we take them and do it with them, you look back, and I wondered, my son's 16. He's not too far into his teenage years, but I wondered, was any of this taking while he was 8, 9, 10 years old? And then I turn around and he's inviting kids because he loves serving at Gracebridge, not because Dad's here, but he loves doing and being here. He's finding intentional ways to come and get his friends to come serve. And we've seen kids that wouldn't come in the door to serve at Gracebridge come, and now they're advocates because they're getting their families to come serve. Yeah.
And I think that just giving them the responsibility and the opportunity, and that's one of the things that, so often in the church we sometimes forget, right, is that, sporting teams and things like that, kids have responsibilities, they have duties, they have things to do, but when they come to the church, all the work's done for them and they just sit and soak. No kid wants to be involved in that, right? And so the more that we can get them involved and the more leadership opportunities we can give them, the more they're grabbing their friends and bringing them here. And then all of a sudden, it's a great way, as you said, their friends don't have to be Christians to come, right? Grab your sports team, grab your, whatever, and bring them here, and they can see what Christianity looks like, and then you can give them the message of this is why we do it.
Well, and as you're talking, one of the things of how do PCA parents or PCA get more involved? We have a Spanish teacher at the North Campus, and she's always thinking in creative ways. And she offered her students that were able to exempt from their Spanish Christmas exams an opportunity. If they came and served at Wrapped in Love with us, they walked with families and spoke Spanish the whole time to families, and she allowed them to count that as a test score.
Sure. You'll learn more doing that than you would
and it's
out
just,
of a book.
It's unique ways to find ways.
Awesome.
We always need bilingual. So if a Spanish class wanted to find a way, we've got ways to do it. But what I love is just the intentionality of saying, hey, this class doesn't fit in this box. Let's make it unique. Let's make it something that can be applied to everyday life.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, for parents, Carter, top 3 things, right, that this organization needs. Parents just, right?
Yeah, well, and again, like we said, we are privately funded, and so and we're very intentional with those funds and what we're doing to keep things exactly the same and to keep them with the level of excellence. And it's really great that Drew and I get to be here on the podcast, but there's a whole team of people that are working every day, and that doesn't happen by accident. So obviously monetary gifts, many people, because we're not the church, we're a public charity 501c3 that models the way we care for people after the life of a real person, Jesus Christ, right? We also qualify for like company matching gifts.
Oh, cool.
So like if you gave a gift to Gracebridge, it would be easily doubled by your company if that's something that is there. So giving financially, right?
Awesome.
And then Drew mentioned the drives, right? Like maybe you got really young ones. Maybe you're in like pre-K4, like, where Julie teaches and helps out. Maybe you're there. We'll take your child to the store and buy some of those cans of soup and buy some of those cans of beans. Pray over them before you bring them and donate them to Gracebridge, because we need those tangible things. And then, of course, one of the other things, both for Gracebridge and Master Cares, is sponsoring a student at the school, making sure that they get to stay in school, they get to be boarded and have all the things that they need. And then we also have a sponsor, a family initiative, so a monthly gift that it's a real story about a real family, but we've changed the names just for protection, and the picture is an iStock photo or a picture of Drew, right, just there. But it's a real story about a real family, and so you can sponsor that family each month. And right now we can still feed a family for a month through Gracebridge for $45 a month.
That's
so
awesome.
It's a pretty neat way, and I mean. Unfortunately, a family of 5, you spend way more than that when you go out to eat for one meal. And you think about, if I could do that and really help a family for a whole month.
I mean, that could be a great conversation around the dinner tables.
Absolutely.
We're not going out to eat tonight. We're eating at home, and the money that we would spend, we're donating it. And here's where it's going to, and here's the families it's going to help. I love that.
Well, and when Drew was talking about his kids going on mission and everything, I think as a pastor and as someone who personally grew up in the church all my life, I've always prayed that my children's faith that it would be their own, right? And the same would be for their love for the church. And their love, like Julie and I pray about this often, that we want our kids to love the church because they love the church, not because mommy and daddy do it or that's just what we've always done. Well, the same thing translates here with Gracebridge and Master Cares, right? Where, yes, this is what we do every day for our vocation, but it's also what we do because we were saved for this. Right? We were saved for this. When Jesus said that, it's the love of Christ, when Paul was writing, and he says it's the love of Christ that controls us, and that we've been given the ministry and the message of reconciliation, and we are his ambassadors. And that's his plan for reconciling the whole world unto himself, is using us.
This is it.
Right? And you can use a box of food or a water well in Uganda to do that. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Well, and we always share 2 things. It's the woman at the well. She came thinking she needed water. Families come to us thinking they just need that box of food. The box of food is what draws them in. We have individuals called family encouragers who are trained to share the gospel, and they share the gospel and they pray over them. So the woman at the well has been a significant scripture in my life for about 25 years. And I kept asking God why, and I see it lived out more today. Yeah. But then you got Matthew 25, where Jesus goes, when when you fed me, when you clothed me.
When did we see you as the least of these?
And they said, well, when did we do that? And he said, when you did it to the least of these. Yeah. This is an opportunity for families to do that. Yeah. And 2 hours, $45.
Sure.
However you can give it and do it, it's small.
Yeah. This is James, right? If your faith doesn't have the works,
yes.
Are you really sure you've got the faith? You've got to put the feet on it, right?
And we love hearing that feedback. Yeah. Like when somebody's come and served and they let us know about the conversations they had at lunch. Because most people serve on a Saturday and the first place they go is lunch somewhere. And they have these conversations around, what they just did and maybe even what they wrestled with seeing, right? Like, man, that, because it is families that are driving through that line that look just like me and you, but all of a sudden they're not in the same situation that we are. And so again, it creates discipleship moments that has always got me excited about it. And again, from my role in the church to what the Lord called me to in these last 14 years is just creating those opportunities to proclaim the gospel, to care for those who are in need, and to help mobilize the church to do those two things.
Well, and as we're talking about this and continue to think, how does PCA get involved? I'll give you two examples that just happened in the last 2 weeks. I had a mother from PCA call me and say, hey, we're going to do a Galentine's event for my daughter's group. Yep. Do you have something we can do? I have yet to see these boxes, but I can't wait to see them. Oh, boy. We gave them 25 flattened boxes of the food boxes, and they decorated. Her message to me yesterday said, hey, I'm ready to bring them, but I need to let the glitter dry. Yeah. So there's no telling what these are going to look like, but they're going to be great. They're going to be special. And then another teacher reached out to me and said, hey, I've got second graders. What can they do? Yeah. And we provided the smaller personal care boxes flattened for them because they fit on their desk a little bit better. We gave them a list of verses that they could write out on those and they could color. Now, that may not seem like much, but when we get an email from a family just last week that says, hey, I don't know who colored this box, and I don't know why they chose the verse that they did, but I just wanted to let you know that meant a lot to me and my family. Yeah.
That box becomes a centerpiece in their kitchen.
And so you may not be able to bring a group to come pack a box, but you can decorate a box. Yeah. You can encourage a family with the Word of God written on it and come up with creative ways. So I just love that there's so many options, and it doesn't have to fit within a certain box to make it work. We come up, and volunteers come up with creative things. Right. Those two ladies came up with that and brought them to us. It wasn't Drew and Carter having some great idea. They came up with it, and it's been encouraging.
And I think that's one of the questions I always get asked is did you set out to do all these things? I mean, like we're sitting here in this room, and just earlier today, our welding program is happening. So we're teaching young men and women how to weld. And when they graduate that class, they are certified welders, double certified actually, in two different levels of welding. But while they're here, they're being discipled. They got brand new Bibles, most of them for the first time. They're also getting job training and resume training. And so what happens is when people hear something like what we're doing today, and they begin to respond, either by giving or doing a collection or coming and serving, it expands how we can connect with people, right? We have our eye care clinic, and then we do disaster relief when tornadoes happen, like what just took place, 9 months ago here in Salina. I mean, we were able to respond and love big, and we're still engaged with those families because we're able to continue to do more and more and more. And we've seen the same thing in Uganda. The more people that have come alongside us, the more yeses for the gospel and for opportunities to care for people because of Jesus' love just continues to grow. Yep.
Now, people might see your storefronts for the resale places as well. Tell us a little bit about those.
Well, so the resale stores were one of those things that, like, are we sure we want to get into this? And God has used them as a legacy giving plan for the Loper family. It's been so amazing as they've helped facilitate getting those, grow those and make them more available. But 100% of the profits go right back in. So you got clothes. Many of our church family sees the donation trailer at North and the donation bins down in Plano. We check those all the time. We take those. We use it first and foremost to meet a need that we might have, like through one of the distributions or something that a family has a need or disaster relief. And then secondly, we sell the best of the best that we can, and 100% of those profits go back into the work we do. And then we recycle the rest and even use that to add resources into what we're doing. And so we always like to say donations equal hope. So, but do me a favor. Make sure you put all your clothes in a trash bag and make sure it goes in that bin, and put your stuff in a box so it doesn't get broken, so that we can use it. No, I'm just kidding. That was a little housekeeping deal. But the resale stores are, yes, a place that people can come and shop and do other things, but there's ministry that takes place there too. We pray for our customers. There's families who come in that are just in a real hard place. We're working with Collin County Correctional Facility as people are coming back into the normal routine of life, coming out of the correctional facility. We're helping set them up with vouchers so they can get some new clothes and things that they may need to really get back to life now that they've come out and they've gone through a program that they have called Score and Valor, and we love working with them. And so just some other neat ideas about the store for sure.
Well, and through our stores, we also have partnered with foster and said, hey, if you need, you're finding out you're getting a foster child, and you've got 3 days or a week to provide. And so we work with them to be able to help provide clothing for their foster kid.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then we do the same thing with families that come in and say, hey, we don't have needs to be able to get clothing. So some of that goes to the store that is really good, we don't take the best and put it only in the store and say, we'll take this over here and use this for ministry, and it's not so good. We want to give dignity and honor, whether it's a family coming through for food or a family in the resale store. It's about dignity and honor, because that's what Christ has done to us. He has pulled us out of the mire and the muck and given us a place of honor, given us dignity as we've surrendered our lives to Him.
So we get to use those resources for that. So keep them coming.
I love it. I love it. I love what you guys are doing. I love just the intentionality. I love the connection with the schools, both North and Plano. And then I love... right, that you're doing it, not just here, but in Uganda. I mean, that's just such a beautiful picture. So, great work. I'd say keep up the good work. Any last word for parents?
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't think we let in with this. We spent some time together before, so I was already in a train of thought. But thank you to our school. Thank you to the parents. Thank you for trusting us by leading your students when they come here and facilitating things and loving your families. And thank you to our church and our pastor, and for Dr. Goddard and Dr. Williams, and just how we get to be really an integrated part of the school. Yes, we're dads. Yes, we're all in, but we also understand, and we have a lot of churches and schools that partner with us, but we are super, super grateful for our partnership with PCA and Prestonwood Church.
Keep bringing your kids, because the more you disciple them, the more you teach them to love Jesus, and it just gives an opportunity to cast that net. Don't just pack a box. Come volunteer with us to put that box in somebody's car.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's...
Or do home deliveries.
Or home deliveries.
We do home deliveries too, man.
Those are just great ways to pass on the legacy of discipleship as Christ has called us to. And so I just think if you can dream it, we're too crazy enough to figure out how to make it a reality.
That is true.
I love it. Well, I look at the ministry of Jesus and a lot of things He did. Right, just crazy. So you guys keep up the crazy, keep up the ministry, keep on doing it, and keep on loving our families and serving our community here and abroad.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Journey. We hope this podcast provides information to help you raise your children, and it would help us tremendously if you would like, subscribe, share, and review this content on your favorite podcast platform. It is our pleasure to provide this information to our community, and we look forward to our next time together on The Journey.